Before we begin, let me just say that I made this in the 8th grade, and it's my first Storytime animation, so it's pretty bad. Also, spoilers for this book that I'm reviewing. It's called Rated, so if you haven't read that yet, click away. Also, this was for a school project. I didn't just do this for fun. I'm not a nerd. All right, and with that, let's watch it.
A couple of months ago, I began reading a YA novel called Rated. It was released in 2019 and it was very popular at our school's annual book fair. So popular, in fact, that by the time I actually got to the shelf to buy it, there were none left. I was surprised when I got it for Christmas from my grandmother that year, but I hadn't read it until just recently. So, Rated is a young adult chapter book by a young author named Melissa Gray. Her biography in the flap of the book's jacket isn't too detailed, so I can imagine that she's generally new to writing. It says that she is the author of the Girl at Midnight trilogy and Rated, so she isn't particularly famous yet. It also says that she's a freelance writer, which is kind of obvious. So let's talk about the book. In Rated, there's a special classification system where everyone has to wear a smartwatch that identifies their rating. This isn't very specific on what it takes to gain ratings or lose them, but throughout the book the characters are constantly doing things wrong that makes an adult dip their rating with his or her own smartwatch. What I find kind of weird about the idea is that kids can also do that. They have the power to just press a few buttons on their wristwatch and then another person's rating goes up or down. It's all about whether or not they're being a good person. Two characters in the story are some boys named Noah and Javi. Halfway through the book, they get involved in a gay relationship with each other, and there's a part where Javi ups Noah's rating for no reason. And then Noah asks why, and Javi says, "Because I like you." And then Noah adds a point to Javi's own rating. At that point, I was very surprised. All you have to do is be likable and your rating can skyrocket? In case I haven't mentioned this to you before, your rating is very important. Everyone wants to have theirs a high number, and the reason is that highly rated people get special privileges and better health care, which Noah finds very unfair after his dad gets fired, and his rating plummets so low that Noah's little sister, who is a cancer patient, has to move to a less good hospital. You are not just poor if you don't have very much money, but you are poorly rated. There's another main character in the story whose name is Rebecca, but she doesn't like when people call her that. Instead, everyone calls her Bex, and her rating is super high. She's at the top of her class every year, and her dad is a rocket scientist, and her mom is a doctor. She has such a high rating that she is assigned to tutor a boy who is falling behind named Chase. He is really good at baseball, but he is very bad academically. Now Bex has to privately tutor him on school subjects that he can't focus on. This Chase guy is very popular, but at home he has a terrible life and his dad is always drunk, so he's always sad, unless he's near Bex, who, by the way, he falls in love with him. There's another main character named Hannah, and she really likes figure skating because it keeps her rating up. She wants to join the Olympics one day, but she has to practice a very difficult skating jump. She's always failing, and she thinks that it's because she isn't very aerodynamic, so she stops eating in a desperate attempt to lose weight. This eating disorder is only getting worse for her because she's always fainting, and one person is trying to help her out, even though she doesn't really have any friends and she prefers to be alone. Her name is Tamsin Moore, and her rating is super low because she's always skipping classes and she never does her schoolwork. On her free time, she likes to be a fortune teller, and she's always telling people outrageous things to get a good laugh. One person she tells a fortune to is the bad guy, Summer Rollins. She's a student at the school who is very popular by other people but hated by the main characters. At the end, we find out that she's been rigging Tamsin's rating, and that's why hers is so low, which proves my point about how the system is messed up, which I guess is the whole point of the story. Anyway, at the end, they figure out how to stop Summer's evil plans, and the principal comes up and randomly becomes a rebel to the rating system. The end. Despite everything I said to make fun of the book, I really enjoyed Rated. It was a very good read, and I liked the author's attention to detail. As you can imagine, it was a very dramatic book, and it had me feeling many different emotions. Like, I'd be feeling pretty happy for one character, but in the next chapter I'd be crying. Just kidding, I never cry. Rating has a cool story idea, great character development, and was overall a very well-written book. So the next time you see this book, be sure to make the purchase and read the book right away.